I was never one of those guys who liked to be buddy buddy with guys I fought. I don't know. It just wasn't it wasn't in me. So if I was going to fight you, I wanted to like literally hate you. And I didn't want to be your friend after the game. I didn't want to be your friend. Like I would be friendly with you if I saw you. Like, hey, how's it going? Like around the way, but I'm not going to be your buddy. And I'm still like that. So if I see a guy, I'm like, I don't know, like we fought. I don't like you. Like that was, I don't know. I couldn't prescribe to that where it's like, let's be buddies after the game and grab a beer where I was just trying to kill you. I don't know why. I just couldn't do it.
I mean,
I'm like,
that seems like a logical mentality. It's not
but
like
so
you're
many,
giving the guy a right hook and you're like, hey, how's your kid?
well, that's what I mean. And I feel like that's seeped into the game where everybody's friends. All these guys are buddies after the game. They're talking in warmups. They're all just like best buds. And it's like, you can't drill someone who's your buddy. You can't line someone up and like really tattoo them if you're like going to have dinner later. You know what I mean? I think friendships have no place in the game.
Time, and the Chicago Cubs win the World Series. And now, the starting lineup for your Chicago Bulls. The 40, the 30, the 20, the 10, and the touchdown.
What up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome back to week 5 of the Shy Sports Weekly podcast. We got a great show coming your way. We're back with the usual crew. Kyle, Ty, how you guys doing?
Good. Pretty sure I have COVID, but I'm buzzing.
The boys are buzzing. COVID buzzing.
Yeah, fuck. You want to talk about a buzz? That is a buzz.
Not the buzz we're looking for.
It's okay.
The buzz we're looking for, though, is a John Scott interview that we got coming later this episode.
Holy fuck, was this a beauty. John Scott might be the funniest person I've ever talked to.
He is definitely one of the coolest athletes I have ever had an interaction with.
I don't know if it's just me. Anytime I think when you talk to an athlete, you have almost the perception that they could be kind of stuck up or almost be a prick.
Yeah, or just that they're like a level above you.
Yeah. John Scott is what you would say is the opposite of that. He's a guy's guy.
Totally. Like it felt like we were just shooting the breeze with him and we could have sat there and talked for like hours.
Best part that you guys won't hear though was when Max introduced him as a Stanley Cup champion.
Not my finest moment.
On his head.
The best part is right before the show, I'm talking to Ty and I'm looking at his stats and I'm like, was he on the Hawks for that cup in 2011? And I found out the hard way that he wasn't.
Yep. Introduces him and I'm like, nope. And John Scott
actually he was right away. He's like, no. He's like, you got to start over.
Within 30 seconds of meeting John Scott, Max pissed him off.
He actually wasn't even pissed either. That's the best part. He was just so laid back about it. He like was fucking around. He like pushed his laptop down. He's like, all right, show's over. We're not doing this anymore. But
yeah, no, you guys will enjoy that. And he's got a great podcast, Dropping the Gloves, and we'll get into that more with you.
Yeah, for sure. Before we get to that though, why don't we hit on a couple tweets from this week? There was a lot of action this week around Chicago and Shy Sports history.
Oh, definitely. We got to start with what you have as the miracle on Mannheim, huh? With March Madness.
God, I'm so happy you started with that one. Oh, let's start with the good news, huh? I guess this is good news, but it took me back to a phenomenal memory of Chicago sports or Illinois basketball sports history. So the miracle on Mannheim, as some people would call it, was the Sweet 16 game when U of I played Arizona. Or I'm sorry, not the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight game. Elite Eight, when U of I played Arizona in that famous 2004-2005 season. Just an absolute barn burner of a game. U of I was down 15 points with less than 4 minutes to play. Darren Williams, Luther Head, D. Brown, all the boys, the guards, they erased the deficit, came back and won in overtime and advanced to their first Final Four since 1989. Kyle, I don't know if you remember that game or if you paid attention to U of I sports at that time, but in my basketball watching career, my fandom as a U of I basketball fan, that was easily the most exciting game I've ever watched.
I remember that game. Fuck yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Illinois basketball besides the 2005 season. Chester Taylor or
Chester
What's
Taylor.
the guy's name?
Chester the Cheetah.
Chester Frazier, I think you're thinking of.
Chester Frazier. Chester Taylor's the running back. Exactly.
Yep.
So that proving my point. I don't know shit about Illinois basketball. However, I do remember that game. Holy fuck.
That was nuts.
What a comeback.
It was one of those games where you turn off the TV for a sec because you're so pissed and you think
Change the mojo.
You think it's over. Change seats. It's like a change seats game.
How many times did you change your seats?
Plenty.
How many times did you change your pants?
At least once afterwards. But that was wild. I mean, that season, the whole thing, like they won 29 games in a row to start the season. They were 37-2 overall. Obviously, they lost in the championship, but that team was voted by Sports Illustrated in 2014 the best team ever to not win a national championship.
That's almost like the worst thing to ever hear about yourself. It's like you're so close, but you couldn't finish.
I know, but it's like they were so damn good.
They were.
So would you say that they were better than this year's U of I team? Like,
Absolutely.
Obviously, they made it further, but as far as skill level,
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, obviously, this year's team, they have Io, who was up. He was in the running for Player of the Year. They got Kofi, who's a machine in the middle and a man amongst boys. But, you know, that team was just seasoned. And college basketball was different back then, where guys were staying for 2, 3, and sometimes 4 years, where they were, you know, they had so much experience. Where nowadays,
what was Darren Williams? Was he a senior then?
I want to say he was a junior.
But still, I mean, I guess Io did the same thing this year. He's a junior right now, but
Either way, Darren Williams and D Brown, I think, were juniors, and Luther Head was a senior. So
you want to know how good that game was? It honestly, that's the sort of game that, like, every once in a while, you kind of just you go down a YouTube rabbit hole and you're just like, holy fuck, let me watch this 15-point comeback from U of I with 4 minutes left. Not even in just some like throwaway game up in Rochester.
When I was
fucking Elite Eight.
Right. When I was putting together the Instagram post and like making cuts for the videos, I was just so delicate with the whole thing. I was like, I want this one to be perfect because
you had one hand on the phone, one hand on your cock.
Yeah. This one deserves to be perfect. So yeah, that was a great memory. Talked about it with my grandpa and my dad this week. We were actually, the three of us were at the championship game when they lost to North Carolina.
What did Papa have to say about the game?
Papa, that game, he was sweating. He was actually so pissed. He turned the game off. He gave up on him. But me, my 12-year-old self, I was still paying attention to the score. I was trying to turn the game back on and shit like that.
For those who don't know, Papa, that's Max's grandpa. He's a friend of the program. He'll come on and shoot the shit about the Cubs.
Big time friend of the program. He so actually, funny story about that. At halftime, or at some point in the game, I don't think it was halftime. I think in the second half, he leaves his seat and is like pacing around in the hallways because he's so nervous and can't watch the game. He runs into a guy who's doing the same thing. Turns out it's Sean May's dad. It's Scott May, who played in the NBA. And they're both like, what's that?
Wait, for which game was he?
This was at the championship game.
Oh, I was going to say, why Scott May be pacing for Illinois, Arizona?
No, so this was at the North Carolina championship game. They're both pacing around in the hallway. My papa's like, yeah, I'm just nervous as shit. You know, I can't take these games. And then Scott May's like, yeah, me neither. My son's playing center.
And wasn't he the Final Four MVP?
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was unstoppable in that championship game. He's pretty much the reason they lost.
Yeah, geez, I remember that. Was that who was their guard that
they had? Raymond Felton.
Raymond Felton. I was gonna say Richard Denton.
I think they had Rashad McCants, Marvin Williams,
Marvin.
But
Gaye.
yeah, saw little Marvin Gaye. But yeah, saw him. Interesting that you bring up this year's U of I team because transitioning to Loyola, unfortunately, there was another special date this week for Loyola on March 24th, 2018. That's when they made their Cinderella run and they advanced to the Final Four that year. that tweet kind of stung.
But also, hey, kind of tying in both Bruce Weber, U of I coach, Bruce Weber in 2018, K-State coach that lost to Loyola.
Okay.
Shout
Look at
out
this.
Bruce Weber.
It's all interwoven.
Interwoven. Something like that.
So yeah, I mean, cool for Loyola that they made it to the Sweet 16. Obviously, they couldn't get past Oregon State. Oregon State threw a little 2-3 zone at them, and they didn't know what to do.
Is Oregon State, are they a wagon?
I don't know.
Are they good?
I'm starting to think they are.
I mean, they're not only winning outright. I mean, they are just these games aren't even like that close. I mean,
Right.
it seems Oregon State is in control of all of these games. Just want to let you know, this is the third straight game I've bet against them.
So you know them well by now.
But now I can't stop. Like I can't. It's too late for me to jump on their bandwagon because if I jump on their bandwagon, then they're gonna fucking lose.
The thing about them is they just look athletic and fast, and they look like they were underseeded. But I mean, their record speaks for themselves. They didn't have a great regular season. They just kind of turned it on at the right time.
I mean, they were picked 12th to finish 12th in the Pac-12. They didn't make
exactly.
They wouldn't have made the tournament unless they won their championship game, which they nearly lost.
That's exactly right. That's crazy. It's crazy to think about stories like that. Like today, for example, UCLA. Sorry, this is a sore subject. I don't know if we even want to go into this.
At my rent on Bama.
But they were one of the last 4 teams in the tournament, and now
I also had Michigan. You want to fuck? Remember we were talking about this a couple episodes ago? How bad, like, if you're so bad on the ACT, it's like you're actually smart.
Right. That's UCLA.
No, that's me gambling right now. Hey, show me a game and I'll show you which side I took, which was the loser. I had Michigan State over UCLA. I've had whoever is playing Oregon State every game.
It's that time of year. Fade Kyle.
I mean, that's year round.
Fade Kyle season.
Fade Kyle season.
It's seasonal and it's every season.
Yeah.
But yeah, quickly, I mean, obviously the Illinois Loyola game is yesterday's news. It was last week, but I mean, geez, it seemed like they just got brutally outcoached. Loyola was running the same fucking play over and over again. Krutwig would catch the ball at the top of the key. It would be a double screen for one of their guards. They would take a handoff from Krutwig and then work a 2-man game, in the post or at the elbow. And it was just the same shit over and over again. And it just dismantled U of I. And they couldn't get shit going on offense. Real tough end of the season. Long story short, 04-05 U of I team, untouchable. This year's team, nowhere near as good.
So, Max, you would say you're a big U of I fan, right?
Yep. Yes, I would, unfortunately.
How much does it hurt to know that you lost to a guy who looks like Cameron Krutwig? I mean, that guy does not look like a basketball player. He looks like he should be
it makes me
like
sick.
On a farmersonly.com commercial.
When I was watching the game, I was actually saying to my friends that I was watching with, this guy looks like he lives next door to Shrek. Like he looks like he lives on the swamp.
I could see that. I saw somebody on Twitter say his name, or he looks like he belongs in Harry Potter. Or his name belongs in Harry Potter.
That too. I mean, and then I saw an interview with him, and he's like a real nice guy. So
if anybody knows him, let's get him on the pod.
At least he's got that going for him.
Literally from the town over from where I grew up.
Kind of felt bad saying mean things about him. He's a hell of a
sweet mustache.
Sweet mustache, hell of a basketball player.
Yeah.
He basically single-handedly took down U of I. Respect.
So I actually, funny story. I was in Arizona last week. Those games start so early out there. That game started at 9:00. I was looking at it the night before. I thought it started at 9 p.m. So I didn't know the fucking game ended I didn't know the result until after the game ended. Until I was watching the Baylor-Wisconsin game. I was like, wait a minute, this game ended?
Yeah. Arizona is the twilight zone right now.
It's Fantasyland.
Because they don't adjust their clocks.
No, they don't.
Which actually we found out when we
hard
were
way.
getting ready to interview Jim McMahon.
Yeah. Things that are undefeated, the time zones.
Time zones stay undefeated. Last thing before we start talking about something else, I feel like I don't want to brag too much, but I did say that Illinois was getting fucked by having to play Loyola in the second round.
Yeah, I don't understand that argument.
I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard because it sucks, but
okay, so what if say they made Loyola a 7 seed? You're still going to have to play them. You still have to beat good teams.
That's true, but you're not meeting them in the second round.
You lose in the third round compared to the second round. Like, okay, sick.
I would have felt a little better about it as a fan. But no, I agree with that. I get you. I mean, regardless, if you're gonna be the champion, you gotta
beat everyone. You gotta like. It doesn't matter who's like where they're ranked or whoever. Yeah, I mean, does it suck that Loyola was an 8 seed?
But I mean, just tell me how Clemson was seeded higher than Loyola.
No, that makes no sense. Actually.
I mean, that was brutal. Clemson was, I mean, just a middle of the pack team in the ACC.
No, you're right. And think, all right, so let's flip. I think actually why they did this was so Clemson was 7, Loyola was 8, Georgia Tech was 9. I mean, they don't want an ACC first round matchup, so it's easy to put.
I mean, yeah, I'll tell you why they did it. They did it for ratings. They wanted U of I to play Loyola in the second round, and since there's not any travel going on, it's all in the same region, basically in Indianapolis or Indiana. They're like, what better story than U of I playing Loyola in the second round?
I mean, can you imagine? So who is it? Yeah, Clemson was the 7. If Loyola was the 7, they'd probably take care of Rutgers.
Yeah.
Right. Say they take care of Rutgers, and it's 2-7 Houston versus Loyola.
I mean, that's a game
right
there.
Though. You are right, though. That does change the complexion of the bracket.
Because now Houston is in the Elite 8.
Yeah, and they looked good yesterday, especially late in the game. They were just chucking threes.
Yeah. Kelvin Sampson's a good coach.
Ass fucked.
It seems like the coaches that are getting involved in scandals are always the best coaches.
I hate Kelvin Sampson. Okay.
All right, I'm glad you agree with me about something. I'm glad that we are now on the same page that Illinois did get railroaded a little bit with Loyola in the second round. But I am on the same page with you that there's no doubt in my mind that they should have beat them. They're a more talented team. Moving on to some positive news, though. How about the Bulls? The Bulls landed Nikola Vucevic. What a freaking bomb that they dropped. That was a sweet trade. I actually was shocked. I really did not see that coming. I thought they were kind of just going to coast through the rest of the season, kind of like what we've been used to with Garpax for the past decade or whatever. But Arturas Karsanovas, their new VP of basketball operations, had other plans.
That's how you say his name?
I think so.
I didn't know that.
It felt good off the tongue.
Sounded good. No
It's
complaints.
like a Vooch finger roll.
So yeah, we got all kinds of European action going on the Bulls right now, but they picked up Nikola Vucevic, who is a big time NBA center, 7-footer, one of the only 4 players in the NBA to average at least 20 points and 11 boards over the past 4 seasons. Guy is a monster in the middle. He can stretch out to the 3-point line and shoot the 3 ball a little bit. He does it all. I mean, I am so excited about this trade. After what we've been going through with the Bears, things kind of looking down with the Cubs. Illinois getting
No, hold on. We don't bash the Cubs on this podcast. Don't take that back.
All right, rewind. If we could.
There we go. That's the rewind.
That's a rewind noise.
Anything about the Cubs, but the whole Bears situation, signing Andy Dalton, Illinois losing to Loyola. I needed something, and this was just the perfect thing right now.
Is it bad that I had never heard of this guy before?
Well, if you don't follow the NBA, there's just so many guys out there that are scoring and having crazy games and putting up numbers, and he kind of really evolved and developed and came onto the scene over the past 4 or 5 seasons.
I only know guys that are on the Bulls. So let's talk about the 2 guys that they traded away, Otto Porter and Wendell Carter. Are you happy that they're out? And are you happy with the swap?
Yeah. I mean, Wendell Carter they gave up 2 first-round picks too. They didn't, they gave up a haul for this guy.
But those first-round picks are top 4 protected.
They are protected, right?
So if they start stinking butt cheeks.
Exactly. I mean, top 4 protection isn't that, secure. Obviously, I mean, I'm not really expecting the Bulls to tank that bad or shit the bed that bad, but
yeah, but you could still get in the lottery.
Right. It's better than nothing. So yeah, I think
protection, put 4 on.
Double wrap. So yeah, Carter was a former first-round pick of the Bulls.
He sucks. That guy fucking sucks.
Yeah, I mean, he. I was gonna give him a little more credit than that. I mean, he's had some solid games, but he's not living up to the hype that he was kind of initially getting or what he could have been.
You're like the in-depth analysis and everything, and I'm just out here from the gambling perspective. Every time I watch that guy, he's so soft.
You're basically saying what I'm thinking, and I'm trying to say it in a nice way so I don't hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want to hurt Wendell. I don't want to hurt Wendell Carter's feelings.
Come on the pot.
So yeah, I mean, am I giving up Wendell Carter for Nikola Vucevic? 10 days out of the week, and there's 7 days in a week. So yes, all day, every day. And Otto Porter, he's like kind of like a journeyman. Obviously he can score, but he's over the hill in his career too. I mean, essentially this is like a great move for the Bulls, and it shows that they're serious about taking this roster and building a winning team around Zach LaVine. So now they have 2 All-Stars, and I think really if they get one more and add that to the mix, they're going to be right up there with the top 5 teams in the East.
So 2 Bulls points here. One, definitely I like this in the sense that it sure as hell beats the let's keep trying to rebuild and maybe get a high draft pick. And
right, the baby Bulls, blah, blah, blah.
For the 15th year in a row, we'll get another Wendell Carter. Fuck you. Secondly, you're saying add another superstar or add another complimentary piece in the offseason. I read something today that said Lonzo, he wants to go to either New York or Chicago.
Yeah, so he's a big name that's been tossed around in conversation with the Bulls quite a bit. There was talk that they were even going to make a push for him before the trade deadline, that they were going to try and move Markkanen. I still think Markkanen's on his way out the door, which I'm fine with too.
Really? Why?
I mean, he's battled injuries. He's another guy, who hasn't really lived up to his potential. He can't really play in the paint. He's a big dude, but he hasn't, he kind of just floats around the 3-point line. And, I really don't think he is a guy that they want to put a big contract behind.
I mean, I'm looking at his basketball reference page here. He's averaging 17 and a half points. He's shooting 48% from the field, 38% from 3. Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad.
Is he just soft as shit on the defensive side?
Yeah. I mean, he's not great on D. He, like I said, he can't go down low.
Can't handle the D.
He is a good 3-point shooter, but I don't know. I don't know if he just, I don't know if he really fits well with the other players on the team and what they're trying to do. I think if they get a facilitator like Lonzo Ball and pay him the money that they would be paying Lauri Markkanen, that is a much better route to go. Because you got Ball at the top of the key, facilitating LaVine and Vooch. God, I'm all fucking in on the Bulls.
Pepper needs new shorts.
The Bulls are back. Fun fact about Otto Porter. He's made more money.
He's the only guy in the world named Otto.
Except the guy from Rocket Power.
Fuck, I couldn't think of that. Show. God damn it. He's the only real life human named Otto.
I expected more out of you, bro.
It's kind of a cool name.
Actually, that is.
What else is cool for him is he's made more money than all but 8 active NFL players. 124 million.
Wait, NFL players you're saying?
Yep. That he's made over his career. Yeah.
Well, cross sport reference there. Crossed me up. So what 8 NFL players have made more money? Do you know that?
It's a great question. I would imagine they're quarterbacks. Tom Brady, I'm sure, is one.
Okay, we'll just say Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Drew Brees. Pardon me. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. Who else? Come on, help me out here. Matt Ryan.
Yeah, probably Matt Ryan.
Jared Goff gets a lot of money, right?
Yeah, but I don't think he's made quite that much yet.
And Robbie Gould. There you go. That's your 8.
And Robbie Gould.
Damn, that's wild. Otto Porter. That's like Chase Daniel. Did you see he signed another 1 year, $1.5 million?
He did. He's an absolute
snake
monster.
It.
I absolutely love that. That's like what we were talking about with Andy in that episode when we were saying how that's just like the best job in sports.
First team, snake it till you make it.
Good for him out there getting $1 million contracts to sit around on the bench.
if you pull up a picture of Chase Daniel and Ben Roethlisberger, they have like the same kind of fat chin face.
Yeah, they do.
They have like a mole on their cheek.
Hey,
Yeah.
You want to
watch
talk
your
about
mouth when you're talking about my quarterback, bro.
Ben Roethlisberger?
Your quarterback's Chase Daniel.
Yeah, it's my guy.
But yeah, I mean, it is an exciting time to be a Bulls fan for once. I mean, since like, the Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, Tom Thibodeau teams. I mean,
first game with them, they lost by 16.
This is true. This is true. You have to mention that for sure.
Oh, fuck.
Vooch had a great game though.
Did he? The Vooch?
Yeah, he had 21 points, 9 boards, 4 assists, 9 of 16 from the field.
That's decent. They got that guy from Boston too, Danny Theis.
Yeah, Theis.
No, it's Theis.
Close.
Thunder Theis.
I always thought it was Theis, like Reggie Theis.
Who the fuck is Reggie Theis?
He played in the NBA in like the 90s. But yeah, I mean, well, the Bulls were down by 36 in that game. They came back. Came back.
Hold on. They were down by 36?
Yeah, they were getting fucking worked.
Oof.
But I mean, they figured it out. They cut it down to single digits.
They cut it down to single digits actually?
Yeah. They had it down to 9 points, which is impressive in the NBA to not give up. I mean, they got Billy Donovan at the helm.
Yeah, they do.
I think he's a great coach. They got, they got things to be excited about with Levine and Vooch and Kobe White and Patrick Williams. I think if they go get that one more guy like Lonzo Ball, that it's really going to put them in the contending conversation.
Yeah, I want Lonzo Ball strictly just for his dad. His dad's a fucking animal.
Make him a coach or something.
Put him in Benny the Bull.
The only problem is he's going to start challenging Michael Jordan to one-on-one games and shit like that.
I mean, I'm fine with that. What's wrong with that? Are you kidding me?
The guy's a fool.
Would you pay to watch what's his name? LeVar? What's the dad's name?
Yeah,
it's LeVar. I would not pay shit. Right. I'd pay to watch Michael Jordan 11-0 him in a one-on-one game.
You wouldn't pay to watch LeVar Ball and Michael Jordan go at it?
No, yeah, I would, because Jordan would skunk him.
That'd be filthy.
Dude's all talk.
Speaking of filthy, let's transition over to the Blackhawks and their tweets this week. Because holy fuck, Patrick Kane.
It'd be more fun to talk about their tweets than what they're actually doing on the ice these days.
No, they lost 3-2 today. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, before today, so they lost 8 of their last 11.
Huh?
Not they lost 8 of their last 11 now.
That's not good.
Not great at all.
But however, these Hawks tweets. This one is from March 23rd, 2017, where Kane and Panarin both scored in the shootout. Holy shit! This Patrick Kane move,
dude.
This honestly might be one of my favorites.
I think that is his best shootout move of all time.
Like I'm watching. All right, so he's on the left circle. Deeks. Oh, 5-hole. Smell you later. Holy fuck!
How does a guy do that in real life?
How does anybody move their hands that fast?
Right. Like I can't even do that in NHL.
No, it's not possible.
No.
He's honestly, it's such a treat. I love it. I say this every podcast, but it really is. He's such a fucking treat to watch.
He really is.
I love him.
I'm watching it right now. Just a little. I mean, literally, the goaltender's just dizzy. I feel bad for that guy. Who was in the net for the Stars that night?
Kari Lehtinen.
Oh my God, that
Terrible
poor guy.
person.
He just wanted to go home.
Yeah, probably. And then Panarin comes. You just get ass fucked by Kane, and then here comes Panarin up the rear. Smell you later.
You followed that up with a nice little
fire down.
Nice little tweet a couple hours later. Patrick Kane is so good at hockey.
Yeah.
You think? That's like those obvious shirts that the Cubs are wearing in spring training.
Yeah. There probably is a shirt that says that, but if not, shout out Joe from Obvious Shirts. Put it on a shirt. Patrick Kane is so good at hockey.
We got to make a Vooch shirt too. We got to come up with something for that.
The Vooch?
Yeah. Voochie Coochie.
Start getting the merch game, son.
The Voochie Coochie. Just have his legs spread out and just have his name Vooch just right on his gooch.
We might have to talk to him about that and see if he's cool with that.
Might have to cut that out so nobody else steals that.
Copyright. Just call dibs. It's pretty much the same thing anyway.
Dibs. We have dibs.
Yeah, the Hawks are getting Doc back though.
They got Doc back, idiot.
The doctor.
He's back the past 2 games. We were recording during the whole third period for today's game, so I have no idea how he looked. He said he had discomfort in his wrist. Hawks kind of sucked these past, 11 games, as you said. So we don't have to talk too much about current day Hawks. We'll go over a couple more tweets here. So another one, March 25th, 2014. I don't know if you know who Antoine Roussel is. Tell me if you know that name.
I know who he is now. I know that he is Brandon Bollig's son.
Yeah, Brandon Bollig was just feeding him fists.
Brandon Bollig is his daddy.
I love Brandon Bollig. But yeah, if you haven't seen that one, go check it out because that is a fucking fight that, oof.
Yeah, he got him good. You know what's funny is that tweet reminded me when we were talking to John Scott, and he was saying how, I forget what team he was on after the Hawks, but he was back in, Rangers. I think when he's on the Rangers, they were either playing in New York or Chicago, which makes sense because, the Hawks are from Chicago. The Rangers are from New York.
It checks out.
But John's saying that he, something pissed him off and he wanted to fight like everyone on the Hawks. He's like, let's go, get over here. I will fucking murder you. And he was talking about Bollig too.
Yeah. That'd be a good fight. I mean, John Scott would.
He's like,
John Scott would feed him his breakfast.
And it was nothing personal too. He's just like, it's go time.
Yeah, makes sense, right? It's your fucking job.
Yeah.
Anyways, last tweet from the Hawks here is posted it today, March 28th, 2011. Marian Hossa in OT with his trademark clapper. I thought this was pretty interesting. He's tied for 9th all time in NHL history with 15 overtime goals. He's tied with the one and only Jonathan Taves.
No kidding.
You ever heard of him?
That is pretty interesting. I have heard of him. I miss him.
I love the Marian Hossa, especially when he's on a breakaway. The clapper, he just comes in. He doesn't even deke. He just takes a fucking half clapper.
Right. He's like, I'm just going to put this in the top shelf.
He's so good. It's unbelievable.
I'm just going to snug this right in there. You're not even going to see it.
Like a snuggie.
Yeah. I miss him too. I mean, the firepower they had on offense in those days was just ridiculous.
Yeah. And at the time, it really is just like.
You took it for granted back then. Oh
yeah. You easily took it for granted. Like, never thought it was going to end.
Right. Exactly. That is actually a great way to put it. You just never thought it was going to end.
No, it sucks that it's over now and that the Hawks kind of stink, but whatever.
We had our fun. We had our parades. There's plenty of time to get back there.
Speaking of parades, let's talk about who's going to win the World Series this year. And there's only one answer to that question.
The Dodgers.
No. Hey, Sam, cut that up. They play at 1060 West Addison.
Cubs in 6.
Ooh. Now let's get going. There's been have you been watching a lot of spring training at all?
Yeah, I mean enough to know what's going on. I mean, I see Joc Pederson couldn't stop hitting home runs if he tried. I heard Nico Horner is getting optioned to AAA, which is a bunch of bullshit. So, I mean, where do you want to start?
Let's start with Joc. Because
young Joc, it's a nitty beat.
Because he does not stop hitting home runs.
He hit another one today, didn't he?
Oh my God. It was.
I think
that ball for piss.
I think Rossi needs to take him out of the lineup and be like, dude, sit down, sit on this bench.
There's only one more game left.
Take a bat. Well, he should have done it a week ago. Take a bat, hide all his bats, be like, you're not using these until we get to Wrigley.
So you're a math guy, right? You work with numbers, Max?
That doesn't mean I'm a math guy. I just do math.
Okay, well, here. See if you can riddle this equation. Joc Pederson, he has 16 hits in spring training. 8 of them are home runs.
Okay.
What percentage is that?
Hold on. Let me
Get the
get all-
calculator.
Some do not help him.
Do I
Listen,
get
I
like
failed
do I get
pre-algebra.
options? Is it A, B, C, and D?
Yeah, it's either 100%, 50%, or 25%.
All right, it's 50%.
It's 50%. That is
50% of
bananas.
the time, every time.
He has 43 at bats, and 8 of them he's homered. That's wild.
I can't tell if that's good or bad. I think it's good.
I mean, the math on that, I actually don't know the math on
He
that.
leads the entire MLB in spring training home runs, I believe, right?
Yeah. Tied, he's leading it now. Corey Seager and Bobby Dahlbeck are in second with 7.
Yeah, I mean, that's good.
Holy shit. He looks so good at the plate and everything.
He
He's
really does.
squaring everything up, and he's got the pants that are just above the knees, which kind of is weird, but
It's like a little old school look, but
old school. You think that's old school?
yeah, it almost looks like he's got knickers on.
He's got what on?
He's got knickers on.
I don't know, dude. It looks. I did not think that was old school. I thought that was like.
You know what's not old school is those Oakleys that he wears. It looks like he got when he was 10. Those things are way too small for his head.
Suction cup to him.
Like those Oakleys, that design of Oakley is not cool. No one should wear those.
You wouldn't say that to his face.
Well, he's making it look cool if he's going to hit 8 home runs in a month.
Listen, he's homering. He has 8 home runs in spring training. He can do whatever the fuck he wants right now.
Here, let's do this math. So let's say he hits 8 home runs a month.
8 times 6, 48.
Okay. Pencil Joc in for 48 home runs.
Okay. Yeah. That's too easy.
Too easy.
Give me an over-under. Sam, give me any over-under on a player's home runs this year. Give me over-under for Rizzo's home runs. What do you think it is?
I'm gonna go 28.
Over.
Okay. That's a bold prediction.
Okay. Give me Wilson Contreras's.
Wilson Contreras, we're going 22.
It's an odd year.
Over.
Willie's
Over?
great in odd
Okay.
years. Go look up his stats. Look up his odd year stats. It's 2021.
Jake
Chris-
Arrieta, 3.
Push.
Hey, I would just like to go on record by saying that I told all of my friends that are Cubs fans that Joc Pederson is going to work out way better than Schwarber was as an outfielder for the Cubs, and I was fucking right. So there you have it.
All right, here, let's. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so far you're right. Let's hope he can back it up in the regular season. I will say, no doubt in my mind, he's a better outfielder, and he sure as shit looks better at the plate right now. But
I'm looking up the Nationals numbers here. So Schwarber, 4 home runs in spring training, 46 at bats. He's hitting 261, 404 on base. While Joc Pederson, like we mentioned earlier, 8 home runs and 43 at bats. He's hitting 372 with a 429 on base. I mean,
oh my God,
anything but hold on. Somebody get me the Jergens and some napkins because
it's actually pretty impressive that Schwarb's has a on base percentage over 400 and he's only hitting 260.
He always does that though.
I'm always gonna love that guy.
Guy gets on. He should have been on the Billy Bean A's. Like this guy gets on base.
I know, but over 400 with a 260 batting average, that's a big discrepancy.
You're the math guy. Tell me how that works.
It works.
There you go. And that's how that works.
And that's talking how things work.
Do
We do gotta talk about Horner a little bit because that is so crazy. First of all, I didn't even realize that he was eligible for the service time thing still. I thought he played enough big league games where it's too late.
My cock doesn't wear a watch. I'm not exactly sure how that works.
No one is. No one knows how that shit works.
Solomon is cracking up over here.
He loved the Ari Gold reference.
Oh, you didn't make that up? Oh, damn. It's
No, I
not
did
nearly
not
as
make
funny.
that up. I don't make
I've
up
never
now.
seen Entourage. I didn't understand that one.
What?
I know.
Well, you should watch it. You'll probably laugh just as hard.
Yeah, you would.
Probably harder.
So here, let's get into Nico's numbers this spring. 16 games, 42 at bats. He's hitting 357, slugging 595. I mean, he was a Gold Glove finalist.
There's literally there's nothing to even think about. The guy should be their everyday second baseman.
Yeah, but Okay,
But
no,
what?
hold on. This is me just being. I mean, yeah, I think he should be as well. I really do. Like,
You
come on.
can't argue it. You're going to tell me that Eric Sogard should be their starting second baseman, who they signed 2 fucking weeks ago?
No, Bodie's gonna start.
Either way, Sogard made the roster. It's just, it doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, it makes
The
sense
one that
from
doesn't
the
make sense
Cubs.
is how the fuck is Matt Duffy on the roster?
It makes sense from the Cubs perspective. I get what they're doing. It just sucks. And
However,
I really,
this is me playing devil's advocate here. Okay, so shut up and enjoy it. Before, Mhm.
I was getting ready to enjoy it.
Before spring training, when Colton Wong was a free agent, everybody was saying the Cubs should sign Colton Wong because Nico struggled at the plate last year. Did Nico not struggle at the plate last year?
He did.
Right?
He had his tiffs.
So now that they didn't sign Colton Wong, people were saying, let's get veteran presence. Let's sign someone to get so Nico could groom in the minor leagues. We signed Eric Sogard for that exact reason.
You sound like a Cubs PR guy right now.
No, I'm not. Shut up.
Unbelievable.
Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Dude,
Read me his spring training stats again. So spring training just means nothing. Why don't we just throw Joc stats out the window too?
No. Well, I'm putting Joc stats on a t-shirt. On a jock strap. Nico, 357, 391, 595. One home run.
Come on.
I mean, yeah, and he has been squaring the ball up.
And his hair looks phenomenal. Looks way better than yours right now.
He's stealing my haircut.
You kind of look like White Goodman right now.
Coming at you.
Feathered and lethal.
But I'm just lethal because I have COVID.
Yes.
So yeah, opening day this week though. How about that?
I do think Nico should be on the roster, but you know what? He's going to be up in like May.
36 days.
Cubs are going to win 94 games. They're going to go 94 and 67 or 68, whatever gets 162 games. I'm not sure.
They'll have the game-winning RBI to
94 and
clinch
68.
the division over the Cardinals. It's all going to be fine.
I do like the makeup of the roster, though. I mean, it's not that I don't like Sogard. I mean, I like Sogard. I like Duffy on the roster. Oh, actually, I should say I like Duffy on the roster. I don't.
We know what those guys are. Horner is this young, exciting prospect. He was their first-round pick. It's like, let's see what this fucking kid could do.
He's like
I'm
the
ready.
busty blonde that you don't know.
I'm ready for it. Exactly. That's exactly what he is.
Where Eric Sogard, he's like Lisa Ann. You know all the tricks.
That's giving him too much credit.
Okay, compare him to someone else.
I don't know. I don't watch those videos.
Sherry DeVille.
You got a roster in front of you or what?
Yeah, you're just gonna start naming porn stars.
I'm on Porn Star Reference. Oh shit. Well, let's get a couple of tweets here from the Cubs on this day because it's opening day season in the on this day world. So one today that we didn't tweet out, but I saw on Twitter was 2 years ago today. Cubs won on opening day 2019. Javi 2 home runs. I don't know if you saw that at all, Max. I think Tony and Dracky tweeted that out.
I did see that one.
Javi
just hits that one ball with a rake.
Yeah, like with a 9-iron or a pitching wedge.
Yeah, that's perfect. He literally hit it with a pitching wedge.
Is unbelievable. And then he took old friend Jesse Chavez out to right center. Is there anybody else in the bigs that's as fun to watch hit home runs to the opposite field as Javi? Guy will hit a laser 450 to right center, pimp the shit out of it with 50-pound chains on.
You hit it on the head. I mean, that's right where I was going.
He hits it on the head.
Chains just bouncing everywhere. He takes G hacks. He does not hold back. He swings with every ounce in his body. It's a thing of beauty.
It is.
It makes me want them to give him a fat contract.
I think that I don't know how money works as my gambling is going down the tubes, but I think they should just sign everyone to everything.
First things first.
Let's just keep printing it.
Let's extend Rizzo.
I mean, I guess that would fall into give everyone everything.
He falls under the everyone umbrella.
How old is Rizzo? 32.
Is he 32?
Yeah.
I don't think he's that old, is he?
I know when his birthday is. I don't know when he was born. He's 31. Me and
Okay.
Rizzo, fun fact for everybody out there, for everybody who cares, me and Rizzo, same birthday, not a big deal.
Your mom cares. I know she's listening.
My mom cares. Hi, Mom. How are you? He's 31, going to be 32 this season. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, honestly, if Rizzo, this is
Make
me,
the guy a Cub for life.
if he was like, give me a 10-year contract for $200 million, I'd be like, okay.
Give him the Bobby Bonilla deal.
Yeah. What's wrong with that? I mean, I'm pretty sure that's illegal now, but I'd give him a Bobby Bonilla.
Right.
I would literally give Rizzo Bobby Bonilla to stay here as a personal servant.
If that's what he wants,
That's what he gets.
shit, he gets Bobby Bonilla.
Somebody who I wouldn't resign though. I don't think I'd resign Chris Bryant.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I wasn't sure if that was gonna piss you off or what, but
No, it pissed me off. It did for me saying it. One more on this day for the Cubbies is tomorrow, which when you're listening to it will probably be yesterday or a couple of days ago. It's March 29th, 2018.
look at your calendars. Whenever March 29th is.
Yeah, I don't know when March 29th is. However, the very first pitch of the season, you want to talk about hitting something on the head? Ian Happ.
This was
dropped his
against
cock.
wait a minute. This was against the Marlins, right?
Yeah. Jose
Down-
Urania
Down in Miami at their new stadium.
in South Beach, yeah.
Oh fuck,
First
that was
pitch.
hot. I remember that.
Ooh, daddy likey.
I was standing at a bar in Bonita Springs, Florida.
I was
watching that
sitting,
live.
but then I was standing.
Yeah, that was nice. That was real nice. That was,
That was nice. That was real nice.
in fact, it was real nice. Yeah, I mean,
Going six to win.
the evolving of Ian Happ has been really fun to watch. The guy
Some would
went,
call that the evolution.
yes, the evolution, the evolving, all of it.
Would you say he's going to be the MVP of the team this season?
I don't know if I would go as far out to say that, but I hope he is.
Is he the new you go, we go?
I hope he's their leadoff hitter. I hope he can get his K rate down and keep it down.
That's the biggest thing for the Cubs this year. Make more contact, please.
Yeah, for sure.
Please. I know
Good
home
things
runs are-
happen when you put the ball in play.
Holy fuck. At least for just like my sanity. I get so bored watching the game and there's just strikeout after strikeout after strikeout. It's like, holy fuck, just hit a ground ball. Jesus
Right.
Christ. However, just fight one off.
He's got that top of the order flair though. And you gotta love the guy.
Yeah, he does. But speaking of fighting one off, how about we send this over to the fighter, John Scott?
Perfect.
Perfect. You guys are going to love it. John Scott's an absolute beauty. Here we go. John Scott.
Welcome again to the Chicago Sports Weekly podcast. It's me, Kyle, with Max, and a huge guest, former Chicago Blackhawks defenseman and forward, John Scott. John, how you doing?
Not bad, you guys. Thanks for having me on.
No, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for joining us.
So we're going to start a little bit before your time in Chicago, just a kind of a little background of your career. So you played at Michigan Tech. Do you know the other Hall of Fame Blackhawk that played at Michigan Tech?
Oh, Esposito. Yeah, of course.
Fucking
Tony.
right.
You
God.
better believe it. Yeah.
God, I thought actually for a slight second there, I thought I was going
Did you think you were going to stump John Scott on that one?
Are you
But,
kidding me? No way. He's like a legend. And funny story, he won't go back to Michigan Tech because he's still sore that they didn't start him in a certain game in the playoffs. And he's like, I'm not going back to this town. So he's still sore over like one little game he should have played in like 50
you
years
serious?
ago. Yeah. I'm like, Tony, let's go back. Like, let's go to the reunion. It's the 100-year anniversary this year. He's like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going back. Yeah. I didn't play in that one game when we should have won. I'm like, wow. Like the guy holds a grudge like I've never seen before.
Would you say besides Tony Esposito, would you say you're the most famous Michigan Tech alumni to play in the NHL?
Randy McKay played at Michigan Tech. So God, he won a Stanley Cup with the Devils, but I would say I'm more famous than he is. I would think so.
I would. Well, I'm not going to disagree with you because you would beat the shit out of me if I did.
Good answer. Smart.
But real quick, just touching on Michigan Tech. When you went undrafted, were you playing in the OHL? In Canada
I was
before?
not. No, I went right from juniors. Gosh, I played junior B in Canada, Then I went to the Chicago Freeze. Actually, I played down in St. Charles, and I got a scholarship to Michigan Tech. Then I came right to the NHL. Well, not the NHL, AHL, then the NHL.
Yeah, because you signed with the Wilds organization. But when you were in while you were playing at Michigan Tech, you were more of a stay-at-home defenseman. Did you ever think in your wildest dreams that you would have the career that you had in the NHL?
No, especially not moving to forward halfway through my career. I think my goal going into Michigan Tech was like, listen, get a degree, finish your 4 years, go back home to Canada, and work in a factory, be an engineer somewhere, and just work for the next 35 years. And that's it. That was my goal. That's what I went into it thinking. I had a coach one time. He pulled me aside. He's like, hey, you're good, but you can't teach being 6'8". So you have something that nobody else has. So you should kind of take advantage of this. And I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I can make a career out of this. And that's when I tried to, put a little more extra work than I had before.
Yeah. So at Michigan Tech, off the ice, you majored in mechanical engineering. If I guess if you didn't make it in hockey, what do you think you'd be doing these days instead?
Well, work in engineering. Obviously, I did get my degree, so I finally finished that up. I finished it up, 2 or 3 years when I was in the NHL. I think my second year,
2010,
I got it. What's that?
Well, your Wikipedia says 2010. I could be pissed wrong on that, though.
No, you're probably right. So I probably was in the league for a few years at that point. But yeah, I work a little bit engineering now, just at home. My wife wanted me to get out of the house last year, so she's like, you need to go find a job. And I had a buddy in town who has an engineering firm, so I do it kind of part-time here. It's fun. It's something different.
Nice.
We're talking about so on our pods, what we do is we'll go through like old tweets, and we're bringing up the Westgarth fight, and we'll bring it up a little later. But we were talking about it, and Max is like, yeah, he'll beat your ass on the ice and in the classroom. How many people know that you have a mechanical engineering degree from Michigan Tech? I mean, I can't imagine many people know that.
No, and it's funny. I do these charity events where you go and you have some beers in the locker room and you shoot the breeze and stuff, and everybody just expects me to be this just, down in beers and having fun and just an idiot. But I am that, but I'm also pretty smart. I think I can string some sentences together, and I think people are surprised when they realize, like, holy moly, you're an engineer. So it's turned a lot of heads, and I've actually made a lot of fans from it because people hate me. Like, people really hate me throughout the country. And when they find out I'm actually just a normal guy with a college degree, they tend to like me a little more. Then I tell them I have 6 kids. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're the sweetest guy ever. So I don't know.
You have 6 kids?
Doesn't hurt. I do. I have 6.
I mean,
yeah.
I was listening to the Chicklets podcast a couple days ago with when you were on. I mean, I guess that had to be a year and a half ago or so. Is recently newborn?
Yeah, it's 8 months now. We tend to have a kid every 2 years, so that's our path right now. So we have 6 girls actually. So we're doing well, and hopefully, gosh, the next kid will be a boy. We'll see.
6 girls. God bless you.
I know. It's fun. It's a busy household.
Yeah.
Congrats on the newborn too. But so back to the engineering talk. Did you ever use that to your advantage on the ice, like talking shit to some of the guys that you're skating around with?
No. What are you gonna say? What's the derivative of this and that? You guys don't even know that. You don't even know. Can
Rafi
you guys tell
Torres,
me
you
that?
stupid fuck.
Yeah, there's no chance I'm gonna use that. People always ask me, did you ever use your engineering, the angles and this and that when you were passing? And I was like, no, like, I don't know. Maybe my passes off the walls were a little bit better because I knew angles more. I don't know. There's no, like, if I tried to chirp somebody engineering and they would just laugh at me. I was the worst trash talker in the league. I just did. My trash talk was, I'm going to beat your doors off if you don't stop something. Like, that was it. Like, I just kept it simple.
You're 6'8".
Yeah, I'm like, I will kill you. That was it. It was just very simple.
Oh, fuck, that's awesome. Well, going into the killing people on the ice. So obviously, there's a heavy mindset going into a game knowing that you're going to be scrapping someone, whether that's after pregame skate, you're like your pregame nap or during warmups, whenever. What is your mindset going into those games, knowing that your role on the ice is you're going to have to fight the toughest guy on the other team?
Yeah, it was tough. And I've talked to a lot of former tough guys about this, and they all pretty much say the same thing across the board. It was so much harder mentally than it was physically. Like, the fighting was the easy part. The fighting was like, yes, like, get this over with. The night before, 2 nights before, a week before, when I would look on the calendar, I'm like, okay, we're going into we got to do George Peros and Steve McIntyre and Brian McGrattan and Fraser McLaren and David Kochi and all these guys. And you go ding, 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 and you got to fight them all. It wore on you a little bit, but you wouldn't sleep. You'd be up all night on hockeyfights.com watching videos. And it was just like shameless plug. But it was tough.
I was literally just on there. Swear to God.
Oh, really? I am like their podcast now, but I literally would be on that website for hours every night before a game. Like when I was in Chicago, we went into LA. You mentioned it before, the Westgarth fight. He like just knocked somebody out earlier that year, and the guy was like in a coma. Like he gave him a seizure or something. And so we were going to LA. I'm like, this guy's an absolute animal. I was watching videos on him nonstop, and he was just killing guys. And so I was so nervous going into that game, and I didn't sleep the 2 nights before that game. And like, thank God I got the better of him, because it was just such like a relief to just, I worked him pretty good and it worked out well for me. But man, it's such a mental grind being a fighter. It's wild.
And
I can't even imagine.
It's definitely more mental than physical. Go ahead, Max.
we were watching highlights of the fight right before this, actually. You got him with a couple of good right hooks, but my favorite part of the video is right at the end. He kind of just pats you on the shoulder like, yep, you got me this time.
He's a good sport. I didn't like how we always did the hair flip and the clapping on the way to the bench. That kind of bothered me. And so I was like, I really wanted to, I really could have hurt him if I would have kept punching, but I kind of, like I was telling the refs, I think a good 2/3 of the way through the fight, like, let's end it. Cause he was busted open. Like, I think I broke his nose and orbital bone. Like I really worked him over, and I was just like, let's end this fight. And sure enough, right after the fight, hair flip clapping all the way to the bench. I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, you just got embarrassed on home ice. Like, stop it. But it must be his thing, good for him. He's married to Colin Coward's daughter. Not Colin Coward. Who was the football coach for Pittsburgh for years?
Bill Cowher.
Bill Cowher's daughter. That's his wife.
Really?
Yeah.
No shit.
Fun fact of the interview right there.
There you go, you guys. If you leave this interview with anything, Kevin Westgarth's married to Colin Coward's daughter.
And that he's a certified psychopath. Well, speaking of that fight, I guess 2 questions here. Have you've obviously watched the replay, correct?
Yeah.
Of that fight?
Every day.
With your breakfast.
Well, fuck, if I ever beat anybody up, I would do the same thing. Are you kidding me? The best part is Pat Foley on the call there went right after, Westgarth taps you on the shoulder. It's like, all right, please stop. And he's like, you've been thunderstruck. The best. It is the best call.
One of the best calls I've ever had in my career. He had a good one too when I fought Dorsett, when he just started laughing at Dorsett trying to fight me. And you guys are so lucky to have him as your color guy. He's so good. Like, he's hands down the best in the league. You listen to some of these other clowns, like the guy for Boston, Jack Edwards. I can't stand that guy. He's the worst. But there's a lot of bad color guys in the league. And gosh, Pat Foley, he's hands down the best by far.
No, we are blessed. We have him and Edzo. I mean, and obviously people see Edzo on the national broadcast, but honestly, it is a goddamn blessing. And I don't know if you even know this, before, like when the Hawks weren't on TV or weren't televising home games, there was a stretch there where Foley left the Hawks. He was doing play-by-play for the Chicago Wolves. He left the Hawks, like, I'm probably maybe wrong on the dates, but like in the early 2000s.
No kidding.
And I don't even know who the play-by-play person was. And it's, just somebody who's okay, but they're obviously not a Pat Foley. But it was like right in that 07, 08 stretch, like where Kane and Taze came back, Pat Foley came back.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing. He's got an incredible, Thunderstruck. He never told me about that. But then after the game, he's like, Scotty, Thunderstruck. I was like, nice. That was good.
Well, so any of these guys that you're like roughing up with, during the season, you run into them a couple times, but are you friends with any of these guys? How does that work?
I was never one of those guys who liked to be buddy with guys I fought. I don't know. It just wasn't it wasn't in me. So if I was going to fight you, I wanted to like literally hate you. And I didn't want to be your friend after the game. I didn't want to be your friend. Like I would be friendly with you if I saw you. Like, hey, how's it going? Like around the way, but I'm not going to be your buddy. And I'm still like that. So if I see a guy, I'm like, I don't know. Like we fought. I don't like you. Like that was, I don't know. I couldn't prescribe to that where it's like, let's be buddies after the game and grab a beer, where I was just trying to kill you. I don't know why. I just couldn't do it.
I mean, like, that seems like a logical mentality. It's not like you're giving the guy a right hook and you're like, hey, how's your kid?
Well, that's what I mean. And I feel like that's seeped into the game where everybody's friends. All these guys are buddies after the game. They're talking in warm-ups. They're all just like best buds. And it's like, you can't drill someone who's your buddy. You can't line someone up and like really tattoo them if you're like going to have dinner later. You know what I mean? I think friendships have no place in the game. I wasn't friends with anybody. It's like when I got traded from the Hawks, true story. I went to the Rangers the first time we played the Hawks, like the next day or two games after that. I absolutely buried Jamal Mayers right by the net. And I turned around and I tried to fight everyone who came at me. I grabbed Seabrook. I grabbed Duncan. I'm like, I will kill everybody if you touch me. Because I was like, we're not friends anymore. You know what I mean? You're on a different team. We're not friends. And that's just how I played my game. I just didn't care. I don't know. I think that's what it should be.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's your job. You're not just because you're on the same team as them 2 days earlier doesn't mean you're not going to put one through their temple.
Yeah, Jammer stood up. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing, Scotty?" I'm like, "Jammer, I will kill you right now. Like, let's go." I asked him to fight. I asked Bolig to fight. I'm like, "Let's go. Anybody, like, let's go." And no one obviously did anything, but it was just funny.
Yeah, I guess they're probably smart in that aspect.
Yeah, good times.
Somebody who isn't smart, though, we'll go back to him, is Kevin Westgarth, because 22 days after that thunderstruck pummeling, you guys went at it again. Do you remember that at the UC?
It was a very different fight because he was he was gun shy and he just hung on and just kind of hung his head and just didn't really do anything. I think he just tried to get out of the fight, alive. And yeah, I remember that. It was a boring fight. I think I hit him once and then we just kind of tangled up. It was absolutely uneventful.
The balls on that guy, though. 3 weeks earlier, he's getting absolutely murdered, and then he goes right back into the well.
Well, you have to, right? Because I embarrassed him on his home ice, and he was fighting for his career. I think that was his first year in the NHL. So if I work him and then I work him again, he's absolutely done. So he had to kind of come back and save face. And I think any self-respecting fighter, like the only fights I lost was Justin Johnson, who didn't play another game in the NHL. And Colton Orr gave me a lucky body shot where I lost my breath and I dropped to a knee. I asked Colton Orr to fight every game after that, and he would always say no. So I think you have to kind of, what's that? Yeah, go out on top. He would always let Fraser McLaren fight me. I don't know, but Fraser McLaren would always step in front of him. So I think you have to kind of get some retribution and, make your name right. And I think Kevin, he's like, I'm going to fight. I'm going to play it smart. And I'm just going to weather the storm and I'll come out without my face bashed in. And that's what he did. Good for him.
So before you hated all the guys on the Hawks and you were trying to bash all their faces in, what was it like playing with like guys like Keith and Siebes and Kaner and Tays and Hossa?
It's great. It was an unbelievable experience. I had the option of signing with a few teams that offseason. And when Chicago called, I was like, I got to go to this team. When you look at that roster, and I'm not kidding you, they probably have 4 or 5 Hall of Fame guys on that team. When you look at it from top to bottom, and that's not including like a Brian Campbell or a Dave Boland or all those guys who were so good, Patrick Sharp. Like it was just an opportunity, and it was so cool. Like when I came into Chicago, they just won the cup in 2010. All the other sports teams were terrible. So we were the cock of the walk. Like it was so weird going into all these restaurants and people picking up your tabs and everybody, hey Johnny, what's going on? It was awesome. I loved my time in Chicago. I had my first kid there. I absolutely loved it. I was upset when I got traded to the Rangers. I loved playing for Q. It was awesome. Obviously, Stan, I don't think really liked me. But what are you gonna do? I know Q liked me, liked playing me out there. So it was a good time. I love Chicago.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, playing for Quenneville. Obviously, 3 cups here. Unfortunately, none with you on the roster. Shout out Max for that fuck up earlier. But yeah, playing for Q, and touch on a little bit from him. What was that conversation like when he said that, or he put you as a forward instead of traditionally being a defenseman?
Yeah, I think what happened was we had a few injuries up front, and he's like, "Listen, you fight too much on the back end. You're kind of," and we had a lot of good defensemen. We had like guys like Jordan Henry, Sean O'Donnell. Gosh, Nick Boyne was there at a time. Like we had some good defensemen, and he just needed a body. And I was the 7th guy out on defense, and I went and played forward, and I played okay. And he's like, "We're going to use you at forward from here on out. We seem to work well. It's easier to lose you for 5 when you're up front than when you're on the back end." So he was good with it. Some games I played forward and defense, but during the game, like I would go a couple shifts forward, a couple shifts defense, and it was, I think he showed a lot of trust in me. I'm not a great hockey player, to say the least, but I think he saw that I could keep up and I was an asset in some ways. And, he's going to win the Jack Adams this year in Florida. Florida's a great team. He's a great coach. I would say he was definitely, if not my favorite coach, top 2. He's just a great guy, knew how to work the players. Just a pleasure to play for that guy.
Playing forward, did you ever play forward before that?
No, never. It was so funny. The first month where I was forward, I never went into the offensive zone because I was just so used to stepping across the blue line and just pump the brakes. And so my centerman would be sitting beside me in the offensive zone, go hit somebody. So it took a good couple of years for me to get comfortable to be a forward, because I would always be a step behind, just worried about getting scored on. But I don't know. I never got scored on because we would have 3 defensemen lined up across the blue line most of the time. But it was it was an asset. I don't know where my career would have gone if I didn't transition to forward. It's kind of an unknown, but I'm glad I got to do it because it was fun. I could go out there and fight a little bit, extend my career, and put another tool in my tool belt.
For sure. I do have to ask you a hard hitting question. When you were on Spittin' Chicklets, you mentioned that San Jose and Minneapolis were your 2 favorite places to play because of the fans and the atmosphere. You did mention Chicago, but come on, what's the deal with that?
The Shark Tank.
The Shark Tank. Have you guys ever been out to San Jose?
Never.
No.
It's unbelievable. You know what? Maybe I did slight Chicago. I was lucky enough to play in some pretty decent cities. Like Minnesota, I think I have a soft spot for them because they brought me in. And I really enjoyed playing there. And then San Jose, for some reason, I clicked with all the guys on that team. And we were really, really close. And we had a really good time, like Jumbo and Bernsey and Pavelski and Couture and Hertl. We really became pretty close. And I just have a soft spot for that team. Even now when I'm cheering for a team, I tend to cheer for San Jose for some odd reason. And I don't know why. But, I don't get butthurt, Chicago. I had fun with you guys too. It was all good. Don't worry. Unbelievable. so sensitive, you guys.
Oh, fuck. That's good. So touching up in 2016, obviously the All-Star game. The All-Star game MVP. Congrats on that.
Don't forget that part. Yes.
I can't believe you didn't drop that in the intro, Kyle.
Yeah.
Put some respect on it.
Yeah. So, that had to be, I'm going to assume it during the whole fan process, leading up to it, and then you got traded from Arizona to Montreal. I don't want to say were you embarrassed, because obviously you're not embarrassed, but it's a weird situation.
No, you're embarrassed a little bit. You don't want to be the butt of a joke ever, right? And when you look at the papers and hear the news and watch the TV and everyone's like, look at this clown, he's first in voting, he's not even going to be able to skate and keep up with those guys. It's a game of skill. What is he going to do? He's got, I think I only had 4 goals at that point. Who knows how many goals I had, but they were coming at me pretty hard, and I was embarrassed. I didn't want to do it, but I did. Eventually, I kind of turned the corner, and the fans got behind me at some point, and it turned out to be a great thing. I thought it was a good thing for the game, even though Bettman was doing his best to kind of shut it down and send me to St. John's, Newfoundland, and kind of hopefully forget about me. But, it worked out. I managed to get to the game, and I had a good game, and buried Patrick Kane and won the MVP. So what more can you ask for?
Seriously. To me, it's that kind of thing sounds like the All-Star game's all about fun though, and that whole movement, vote for John Scott for the All-Star game, just sounds like a blast.
Yeah. People forget that the All-Star game was kind of a joke. It's an exhibition. I don't know when Bettman all of a sudden thought it was a serious game and we have to really, hold on to the morals and the integrity of the game. It's oh, come on. Like guys not too long ago were wasted during the game. You had to stop having beers in the locker room. So let's just relax. So I don't know. I just don't think he wanted me in the game. He thought I would embarrass myself, but I played in the NHL for 10 years. Obviously I can keep up. That's what I kept telling everybody. I do practice with these guys every game. I do know how to play hockey. So it was fun. I got to kind of showcase what the tough guys do, and I did okay, I guess. It was a good game.
Well, shit, it's not like you were an NHL player. You said you're not a great player, but in the scheme of things, for every hockey player, you made it in the fucking NHL. Max here can't even skate. It's not like they're putting Shaq on skates and throwing him out there.
No words out of my mouth either. I cannot skate.
And I know, and it's always funny when I do these charity games where I play in my hometown rink here and just do a Sunday night league. I think everyone's just surprised, you're pretty good. You know, I'm like, I know I'm the best player out here. Like I am a good hockey player. Like let's be honest. So I think they're just surprised that, you know, I can actually make a pass or do this and that. So, you know, it just comes with the territory. When you see me on the ice, on TV, most of the time I'm fighting. You know, that's just what it boils down to. You know me as a fighter. You don't know me as anything else, and that's fine. I guess I surprise a lot of people when we do step on the ice, and that's okay. I'll take that.
Just tell them you're a +1 in the playoffs.
You know what? Let's talk about that. We should have won the Stanley Cup that year because
you should have.
Vancouver ended up going and they lost to Boston. We were a far better team. We went down 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
I played game 4, 5, and 6, 3-0. Marcus Kruger comes into town from Sweden, kind of an unknown kid. Q pulls me aside. He goes, "Hey, we're going to play the young kid. We're going to take you out for game 7. We lose game 7. End of the season meetings. Q goes, "I should have played you. My bad." I'm like, you're damn right. You should have played me. We would have won that game 7 if I was in the lineup. So anyways,
like, you know it. I know it.
He stole the ring from me, you guys. I should have had a ring. But, you know, hindsight's 2020. He's a good coach, I guess, but he made a mistake there. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
So we've been talking now for like 20 minutes, and you seem like a pretty nice guy. I mean, we're having a good conversation. I'm wondering now, when you're skating around on the ice, like what does a switch flip, or what makes you say, all right, I'm just going to knock this guy's front door and I'm just going to beat the shit out of this guy standing right next to me on skates? Like, how does that go down?
You know, I never really fought angry, which I think was a good thing for me. I kind of had a good, you know, even keel. I think when guys get too angry out there, they lose track of where they're punching. And you see it nowadays where a guy will throw 15 punches and maybe one grazes a guy. So I feel like just my personality, I was able to just realize what was going on and I can control myself. And if I threw a punch, I wanted it to land. I didn't want to fight for show. I didn't want to waste any energy and just throw a punch just for the heck of it. So I think that's why it was such an effective fighter. And I don't know. I don't think I'm a dick. Like, I think I'm a pretty decent guy. And on the ice, I would tell people, I'm like, if you do that again, I'm going to take you out behind the woodshed and I'm going to lay the boots to you, you know? And I would just be honest. You know, Cam Jansen would skate by me like, "Cam, you're getting close. Like, keep it up." And Cam was a steroid junkie, so he didn't care. He was just all juiced up. He didn't know anything was going on. But no, for the most part, I just was a regular guy out there. And if someone stepped over the line, I would take care of them. And that was my job. And I knew it. And after the game, I would go on my way. Like, I didn't think I was this big, bad bruiser. I just was bigger and taller than everybody. And I, you know, could throw a punch fairly decent. So, and I got a good paycheck for it. So what do you want me to do?
Right. Every once in a while, a guy looks at you and tells you had a bad haircut, and that's it.
Oh, gosh. Thomas Kopechki was the worst teammate ever. That guy, I couldn't stand him. He was like Host's best friend. He would just nonstop chirp me. I hated him. I did not like him. I mean, that's the truth. He was just a terrible human being. He would always chirp my hair and my breath. Always. "You got bad breath and a terrible haircut." He would say that to me daily. I'm like, "I don't like you." Yeah, I don't like you. You're not a good person.
Right, this is an anti-Tomas Kopechki podcast now.
From now on, yeah.
He's the worst. He's the worst. He's probably somewhere in Eastern Europe. Yeah, good. Don't let him on. Don't like that guy.
When you were playing, did you have a favorite fight? Twofold, a favorite fight or just a favorite or memorable game that just really sticks out in your mind?
Well, I guess we can stick with it with the Hawks. My favorite fight has to be the Westgarth. That was like my staple fight with Chicago. I really did him a good number, and everyone seems to remember that fight. And gosh, a favorite play or goal. I do remember we were in Tampa Bay and I hadn't scored yet. And Hossa dropped the pass for me and I stepped across the blue line and I ripped the clapper off the crossbar. And it went like 70 feet high, hit the rafters, came down and kind of plunked into the net. But everyone's like, no, it hit the rafters and it was a no goal. And that was a memorable moment because I didn't score, but Hossa dropped me the puck. I hit the crossbar. I never scored when I was in Chicago. It was my one regret. I never scored in the year and a half I was there. So no memorable offensive plays. Kaner should have hit me on a 2-on-1 one time. I still give him a hard time about that, but that's another story for another podcast, I guess.
All right. So how about this? What was your most memorable, maybe locker room story? The funniest thing that happened while you're in Chicago?
Oh my gosh. Not really funny. Well, I guess there's a few funny ones. We had like Jake Dow was there and Brian Bickle. We played in Dallas one time And I've talked to Sharpie about this. Oh gosh, should I tell the prank stories? We had a pretty good prank story. I took a dump on Sharpie's. I won't tell that one.
Oh, come on.
No, you have to. You can't leave me hanging like that. We'll cut it out. We'll cut it out if it doesn't.
We were on the road in Columbus, and we like to play pranks on each other, and Sharpie was the worst. And so he went out to dinner one night, and I saw him leave, and I went, got his room key. So I snuck into his room. I went and got a huge bucket of ice, and I filled up his toilet with ice. And I took a massive deuce on the ice. And then I cranked up the heat, and then I left. And so he went back to his room. It was like 95 degrees. And if you ever tried to flush a toilet with ice in it, you can't flush it. The ice floats. And so there's this big turd sitting on the ice, and it's not going anywhere. And so I come back, and I'm like, everyone's just, it's too quiet. You know what I mean? It's way too quiet. I go in my room, and my turd is sitting on my pillow. And I'm like, how did this happen? How do you know it was me? And how did he get into my room? And my bed is soaking wet. And so he soaked my bed. But the saving grace is I can just picture Patrick Sharp carrying my deuce down the hallway and putting it on my pillow. Cause it was my deuce. I know my deuce when I see it. And
he's got on like a hotel towel.
Yeah, it was on a hotel towel sitting on my pillow. My bed was soaked, so I had to get a new room. That was a good prank story between me and Sharpie. We went back and forth like that quite a bit. It was a fun year with him.
Oh,
But
that's good.
anyways,
That's awesome.
that's a good story.
Oh my God, that is priceless. Like that's hard to top that. We'll wrap up with one final question here, and so it's probably the most hard-hitting question we have. If you could fight one player in the history of the NHL, who would it be, and why is it Raffi Torres?
Tico, you were talking about the playoffs, and I had like one game, 20 some penalty minutes. The reason for that is because he nailed Seabrook, and there was an unnamed player on the Hawks who is still on the team, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. He pulled me aside before the game. He's like, "Hey, I will pay any fine you get. You do whatever you want to Raffi Torres." So we got up in the game like 4-1, maybe 5-1. We were up quite a bit, and I lined up versus Tico. I played with him in the Sharks, so I call him Tico, Raffi Torres. And I grabbed him. I'm starting to ragdoll him. All the refs jumped in. It was kind of an uneventful thing. The puck didn't even drop. It just kind of happened. But he's not the guy I would fight. Gosh, who would I fight? You know who I didn't like? And he played for the Hawks is Adam Burish.
Really?
I would like to get my hands on Burr. And, we're friendly now because we kind of run into each other at the convention center a couple times. But he embarrassed me so bad one game where he kind of skated behind me and did like the Gumby legs behind me. I'm like, this guy's the biggest piece of trash. I'm like, I really want to grab him. So if I were to grab one guy, it'd probably be Burr. And we're kind of friendly now. So I don't know, maybe it would be a little awkward, but I think he would be the one. Or Tom Sestito. I don't like that guy either.
You don't like Tom Sestito?
He's a piece of he's an ass. Yeah, I don't like him.
I've heard that before about, and not just from you. I've heard that he's just like a terrible, like you were saying about Kopechki. He's just a terrible human.
He's a terrible human, terrible tough guy, like a big poser. I've talked to some of the other tough guys like Brian McGrath and all those guys. Like, yeah, he would never fight. He picks his point, he picks his spots. I've asked that guy to fight for years, a good 5 years. And he would always say, "Oh, my hands broke. I'm tired. I can't do it. Coach won't let me fight." And then he's fighting somebody else on my team like 10 minutes later. I'm like, give me a break. Like he's the biggest pretend tough guy I've ever seen. Ever.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
That's kind of at a point though. That's kind of got to feel good that he doesn't want to fight you.
It's the worst one. I'm like, please, like he would be an anger fight where if I fought him, I'd probably go to jail. Yeah, he's the worst, absolute worst. Anyways, hate that guy.
So how about a Stanley Cup prediction for this year?
Oh gosh. First of all, I think Chicago will make the playoffs. That's my bold prediction. I think they'll overtake Columbus. I'm going Vegas and Tampa Bay. Vegas with the win. That's my prediction.
Vegas.
Yeah. They got a good team.
Fucking right.
I think Robin Lehner comes back and he's going to carry into a playoff Stanley Cup champion.
How is that going to work with is the North going to play the West, or like when it's the Final Four, who matches up with who? Is that how that's going?
I think Northwest and then Central and East, and then they meet in the finals, the winners. I think so. You guys have the hockey podcast. I don't know. You got to do your research.
Yeah, fuck me.
Actually, you have the hockey podcast. Let's talk a little bit about dropping the gloves.
Yeah, we do it 3 days a week. How many days do you guys do this one?
We do it
just
weekly.
Once.
just once. So I don't want to say I'm 3 times as good as you, but I'm not going to say it. No, we do it, dropping the gloves with John Scott. We keep it kind of loose like your guys' podcast. We have guests on every once in a while, once a week, and we just kind of shoot the breeze. We talk about everybody, but we end up mostly talking about 5 or 6 teams, it seems like. And Chicago's one of them because they're having an interesting year. It's crazy.
Yeah, they are. They're buzzing around, but then lately they've just been absolute shit.
I know. They got to get Kirby back in the lineup. He'll still switch things up.
Yeah, I mean, they're missing Taves and obviously Kirby, and then Strome was out for a bit there. So was it Pius Suter was their number 1 center? They had David Kampf as their first center. It's like, not great.
You got to love what the Cat's doing, though.
Yeah, he's on my fantasy team. He's killing it. Absolute killing it for me. This is my first year playing hockey fantasy, and that guy's he's a good player. Good little guy.
He is.
Yep.
But anyways.
Well, John, thank you so much for coming on. Everybody check out the Dropping the Gloves podcast. You can, that's on Twitter at, dropping_gloves. John, again, thank you so much for coming on.
No worries. It's hard to read sometimes. It's hard to read.
Jeez, I know. I was looking.
Especially if your name's Kyle.
It's hard sometimes. I get it.
Listen, it's 6:00 here. I'm still a little hungover from yesterday. So listen,
so
I don't have a mechanical engineering degree. All right.
No, I
majored
guess
in
not.
sports management.
Well, that's evident.
All right. Thanks again, John.
This was fun. Thank you so much. Have a good one.